Thanks to my pals at Surfshark for sponsoring today's video. See my exclusive deal by clicking the link in the description below. Get yourself award-winning VPN protection now.
Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Yes, today's video, as you can see by the title, I've been wrongfully fined. Yes, I've been treated like a criminal. No, just joking. But I am going to explain everything in today's video. So, back in the 5th of December, me and my good friend Aaron from Carb Session took a journey, took an ambitious challenge and put it to the test, where we had the new Mustang Mach-E from Ford, the guys at Ford UK. And yeah, I planned this video for absolutely months. I manifested it in my head and yeah, I decided, you know what? No one else is doing this on the platform. And I thought, you know what? I'm the guy to do it. So I took the Mustang Mach-E along with Aaron, my good friend, to Land's End. Yes, Land's End. And we did the 830 odd mile journey from there to John O'Groats. And of course, I've got the video on the screen behind me, and that is now live for you to watch. It has been for a while. So yeah, we'll skip back to the 5th of December when we took the challenge on. So of course, the car is all electric and it relied on a lot of factors, one being charging the thing. Now, we was always behind on time. We was always rushing around. So I picked Aaron up the night before from Worthing, and obviously we stayed overnight in Land's End. And we actually didn't get to the hotel until like midnight because we had to charge the car halfway between the journey because I wanted to be as prepared for the next morning when we was at Land's End. And again, that didn't go to plan. Now, the car was plagued with issues. One being the fact that it has batteries instead of a fuel tank. Yeah, the car wasn't performing in terms of its charging. So every time we went to a charger, it was roughly doing around 60 kilowatts. And usually the chargers we were going to were rated to 120. Now, we were the only ones charging, and I heard stories about if there's more than one car charging, you actually don't get the 120 kilowatts. It actually halves. So yeah, it was a bit disappointing because Ford claimed that the car would from 0 to 80%, or no, sorry, 20 to 80% charge. It would take around 45 minutes, give or take. And what actually was happening was it was almost doubling that. Most of the charging stops that we did, mainly on the journey from Land's End to John O'Groats, were over 2 hours. So what we was finding is we were doing journeys for 2 or 3 hours, and then we was charging for roughly the same amount of time. So it just felt like the whole day we was going backwards and backwards and backwards. Now, of course, the video has been up for a while. Strangely, it hasn't done very well. Wonder why. Yeah, and a lot of the comments were positive, but some of them also were very negative in the sense of we didn't plan the journey. You're hating on EVs. No, we're not hating on EVs. We're showing you the actual hard truth of the fact that for long distances anyway, they don't work. And the video proved it. And if you are able to watch the whole thing, we show it and that's it, full stop, we've done it. In terms of planning, I find that argument very flawed and wrong, and it shouldn't even exist, because do you plan when you go in your petrol or diesel car to go and do a long distance? No. 9 times out of 10, you drive past the fuel station. If you really are pushing it, you can just go on your sat nav, find a fuel station, and then within 5 minutes you've got a full tank again. So yeah, I didn't see the necessary point of that argument, because yes, I did actually plan it, and yeah, the car didn't perform, so the plan went straight out of the window. I actually planned where we would charge throughout the journey, and pretty much every single charger we went to, I didn't even write down before the journey began. So that just shows you that that argument is very flawed. Now, let's fast forward to now, because I had the car, yes, of course, on the 5th of December for roughly that week. And yeah, I was like, thank God I've got rid of that nightmare. The nightmare has gone. That trip plagued me for ages without giving you any spoilers. I'll leave in the top right hand corner for you guys to watch. Please go and support the video. Yeah, a lot of money and a lot of time went into it. And of course, Aaron from Carb Session the guy that joined me on the journey, he's also a good friend, and he's been on a channel a few times, and he's also done a vlog type video, which is almost like a behind the scenes, things that I didn't capture that he did. So make sure you go and watch that too. I'll leave that in the description below. So yeah, we are currently the 12th of March. Now, I was meant to do this video a while back because, yeah, what happened was ridiculous. So if we go to the 31st of January 2022, I got a call from Ford UK saying, "Oh, Chris, how are you doing?" And I went, "Yeah, I'm really, really good. Sorry to break this to you, but you've been fined." And I went, "What? Fined?" And they went, "Yeah, you've been fined £200. And I went, whoa, 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 £200. And I was like, well, I get cars from you quite frequently, but I haven't got a car that warrants being fined for, if that makes sense. And then they went, "Oh yeah, it was your time with the Mach-E." And I was like, oh, here we go. The nightmares have come back. Now, I've got some paper here of the fines themselves. So I got fined on 2 occasions. So when we charged, predominantly, well, the whole time, we charged at service stations. And usually, in my experience, well, both our experience, when we go to service stations, we're there for maximum an hour, where you go and eat, have a rest, go to the toilet, etc. Now, I didn't know that, well, I sort of did, that you can only stay in these car parks for 2 hours. After that, you then get charged because they pick you up when you enter and pick you up when you leave. So they timestamp from the time you come into the car park to the time you leave. So yeah, I didn't know that. And because of the journey, it was quite, I wouldn't say rushed, but it was quite full on. Even though we were sitting around charging the car, it was quite an anxious time because time was against you all the time. There was no break. It was quite a mental challenge as a physical one as well, basically staying awake. So yeah, I got 2 separate fines at the same time because it was on the same day. So the first one was at Scotch Corner, which was the day after the video, to be fair. That was the day after. And then the other one was at Lancaster northbound. So they were both at Moto services, and we were fined because we outstayed over 2 hours. Now, of course, with these you can appeal, and that's certainly what I did. But before that, if you think Ford only got these fines on the 31st of January, which means it was over 50 odd days from the offence, if that's what you want to call it. So I got fined on the 5th of December, but Ford UK didn't get the fines, both of them, until the 31st of January. So in a legal sense, I was already on the front foot because, yeah, I had that argument, well, it's well over 14 days, you can't be doing this. So yeah, the fine was £100, and they said if you paid it within 14 days, they would reduce it, which was impossible because by that time I got the fines, I was being fined the full £100 for both. So it was in total £200 for just charging a car at a service station. Now, I went on Google and looked up this because I wasn't actually the only person that has been plagued with this issue. There's a lot of EV owners out there that have been hit with this problem. Now, of course, these charging stations were inside the service station, which is wrong in many levels because in this instance, the car was taking 2 hours, over 2 hours sometimes, to charge, and that wasn't even to 100%. And in this case, we got hit with it twice. Now, thankfully, the chargers we were using were GridSurf, and GridSurf have pretty much taken over most of the service station chargers across the UK. They used to be Eco Electricity owned, but if you watch the video, you will know why that they are no longer existed, because they were a nightmare and an absolute bunch of thieves. I couldn't stand it. So yeah, of course, on the fine, so you can see the fine there. If you don't believe me, I've got 2. 1, 2. So you can see one's at night and one's during the day. So yeah, of course, I didn't know any of the wiser until we got these. So we were just thinking, you know what, there's nothing wrong. We'll just continue with our day. So yeah, fast forward to the 31st of Jan, back to that, where obviously Ford UK told me we've got these fines. So straight away I appealed. But before I appealed, obviously I researched and looked up if anyone's had these experiences as well. And lo and behold, there were. So the number one point is that even though the charging stations were within the service station's car park, the service station doesn't actually have the right or authority to fine you, who's using the charging facility, to apply these parking fines. So it's very interesting because the charging bays, the designated charging bays, are actually owned and leased by the provider. So in this case, GridSurf, not the service station. And then the next argument is that in theory, you're not actually parking, you're charging. Yes, it's a bit of a loophole, should I say, because you're technically right. You're not paying to park, you're paying to charge. Well, you're not actually paying, you're paying to charge the car, but you're not paying to park. So that was the next argument, which I put in the appeal. And of course, if you guys have been caught out by this as well, I will leave a document which that will be shared to you guys so you can actually look at what I wrote in detail to the parking fine company. So what was more annoying is that when I got the fines, I actually contacted Moto Services, which ironically, they actually now follow me on Twitter because they saw me put up a post basically saying that it was wrong and I'll be making a video, which I'm doing right now. So yeah, I contacted Moto Services to basically question them why I've been given these fines when I'm using the facility to charge the car, not to use the parking element of it. And they basically said to me, short story short, long story short, that's the one. Basically, we can't help you. It's no longer in our hands. It's now in the hands of the parking charging company, whoever they are, which I'm not going to name because, yeah, it's pointless naming them because they're a bunch of thieves, a bunch of robbers. Now, of course, yeah, they give you the opportunity to appeal, and annoyingly, I had to appeal both fines separately because they were both given different numbers because they were on separate times, if that makes sense. So interestingly, obviously on the fine, I'm going to skip back to it, they give you a time when they capture you to the time that they capture you when you leave. So in both cases, the stay was over 2 hours, and luckily with the GridSurf charging bays, they can provide you receipts well after you've used them. All you have to do is give your last 4 digits of the card you used to pay, and then you can go on their website and you can look at order of charging that you've done throughout the year, for example. So when me and Aaron were using GridSurf across the country, we was able then to populate all the receipts to work out how much we actually paid, which you can again see in the video. So interestingly, we had the timestamp from when we started the charge to then work out how long we were there for based on the duration of charge it was. So both of the fines were within 2 or 3 minutes of when we entered to when we started charging. And then of course, when we left, again, it worked out to be about 2 or 3 minutes between what the parking fine said to what our receipt said. So I could then prove that I was specifically there to charge the car and for nothing else. So again, that was a good arguing point to put in the appeal because, yeah, they can't say anything about the fact that I was outstaying my welcome for anything else other than charging the car. So yeah, that was included in both the appeals again. And as I said, I made it clear that you've sent me these fines well after the event, and yeah, that's very wrong. So I'm not going to read the entire letter, but I've already given you some points of what I've argued about. So the fact that the designated charging bays were privately owned by the company themselves, not Moto Services or the people that were fining me. I've also made it known that prior to charging, some of the charging stations we used were actually occupied. So that was another argument. So say we entered the car park at X time, but the time we actually started charging was half an hour later because we were waiting for someone. We've then now lost half an hour, which is not our fault, it's just the way it is. What else? So yeah, as I said, I had receipts. So basically, when you do the appeals, in this instance anyway with this company, they allow you to attach proof and evidence to help your appeal even better, which I did. Now, one interesting thing is that the car parks, they are scattered with signs that say basically you can only stay for 2 hours. If you stay for over 2 hours, you will be fined, blah, 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 blah. Now, interestingly, both charging stations, which was at Lancaster and Scotch Corner, in the charging bays, they had no signs that said you can only stay here for an X period of time. There was no signs whatsoever. And what I did was I used Google Street View to actually help me prove this. Because at Lancaster, we arrived there at, what time did we arrive there at? I don't know where it is. Oh, here we go. So we arrived at 4:39 at the Lancaster one, and at that time it was pitch black. So we could just about see the charging bays, let alone anything else in the car park. So yeah, it's a very cheeky thing that they're doing in these car parks, where they're putting signs up, but at night, if you can't see them, then you can't see them. So yeah, I went on Google Street View, looked at the car park, because you could actually do Street View in the car park, and lo and behold, both of the charging stations at the separate locations had no signs saying that you could only use these for a set period. And it's interesting because when we was at Scotch Corner, there was a car, an electric car, parked in one of the bays, and they were there for hours and they weren't actually charging. And yeah, that was one charger that couldn't be used. So it was very inconsiderate. Now, the other thing was that the car was obviously owned by Ford UK. So I had to get some information from them to say basically they provided me the car at that time to prove that it was me and not them. But yeah, thankfully, we're going to skip this because it's now like 17 minutes into this video, but I wanted to be quite detailed with this because there's no one on the internet that has experienced this, and if they have, they haven't documented it. So yeah, long story short, I think, when did I get these back? I'm not too sure, but I got an email back. Oh, here we are. Got an email back on the 23rd of February 2022. So they're well over their 14-day response period. So when I did the appeals, they said we'll get back to you in the next 14 days to assess whether the appeal has been won or lost. So they couldn't even do that properly. So yeah, I got the email back saying, "Dear Sir or Madam, thank you for your correspondence relating to your parking charge. Further to your representations, we have investigated your claims and confirmed that your charge has subsequently been cancelled in full and no further action will be taken. Please disregard any letters received that predate this email." So yeah, long story short, I won both the appeals. Now, it was quite a stressful time because £200 is a lot of money, especially when A, you don't own the car, B, you was already paying over the odds to charge the car at the time of the fines, and C, the fact that I already spent a load of money on the day with the video and the video not going the way we wanted it to. I won't spoil it, you make sure you watch the video because you understand it a bit more. And then also seeing people's comments that are not shooting us down, but they're sort of arguing the point of the video when we've already proven it that it doesn't work. I just don't find it. I think people are on the agenda to really shove EVs down people's throats, and that's what I really hate, because this video is a pure example of showing why they are not ready, and personally for me, why I think they are never going to be ready, because there's just so many other factors. Forget the fact that an EV car doesn't emit emissions. There's a lot more things to it, yeah? Remember, they are not fully built cleanly, EVs. They still require fossil fuels. Think of the diggers that are digging up the lithium. They're not electric, and that's just one example that I'm not going to go into any more detail. But yeah, of course, thank you to Ford UK for the opportunity. Am I going to review any EVs anytime soon? I probably will, but I'm not going to bite anyone's hand off to get the opportunity to, because yeah, the whole time I had the car, don't get me wrong, it was a good car, but it was flawed in so many ways. Not as a car, I think just more on the EV side of things. I think we're just going backwards with it. But that's my opinion, and I'm going to hold on to that opinion until things change, which I really don't think they will. Yes, battery technology is going to evolve, but when you get to it and you need to charge it, especially if you haven't got a charger at home, you're still going to be in doo-doo land, because it's just a nightmare to charge cars, especially with more people buying them. The charging infrastructure that we have already is just not enough. It wasn't enough when we were doing the journey, and that was just on motorways, and we hardly saw EVs. And yeah, every charging station we went to, there was like 2 charging points, and some of them were out of order, and some of them were both taken. So either way, it's not great, and it's unpredictable, and a car is meant to be a convenience, not an inconvenience. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it helps. As I said, I will leave all the information, including my appeal letter, down below for your viewing pleasure, and I hope it helps. If you've got any other questions, please do feel free to get hold of me. You can message me on Instagram, or you can leave comments down below, and I will help you in any way I can. Until then, thank you for watching, and yeah, please like and subscribe. Really do appreciate everyone that has been supporting the channel. I'm hoping to start filtering some more content soon. If you're an OG subscriber, you do know that, yeah, I am quite bad with content, and yeah, I'm fluctuating from my busy life at work, because I do have a full-time job, to doing videos when I can. So yeah, this channel is more of a hobby. It's never it's never going to be a business. It's evident that it's never going to be a business because the model isn't great. So yeah, I do really appreciate everyone that has supported, and I'm hoping to do some interesting things in the future, which hopefully will give back to you guys. But yeah, until next time, I will see you all soon. Take care. Goodbye. I don't have to pay £200. Woo! I'm no longer a criminal. Woo! Goodbye.